you mentioned underdeveloped, like the music is not fully developed or whatever. I actually think there's a group of people that know that their music is underdeveloped and they're okay with that. Producer Soundtrack, he shared a video, I believe it was Royce and Guru, Hov's engineer Guru, and they were talking about the mindset from people that are mediocre versus people that are, we'll just call it, extremely dope. We've kind of talked about this somewhat, but I like how Guru explained it. So I want you guys to watch it and then we can kind of react to it.
All right.
Dopest MCs that I know, they feel as though like I'm dope. I should be the best. Like people should recognize that I'm the best. And I'm like, yo, you haven't done enough to put yourself out there. And I'm like, yo, the problem is the whack niggas will do everything that in their power to they will tell the world that they're the greatest ever. And they whack. And my great dudes is like, no, the world is supposed to know. And I'm just like, nah, like everybody don't listen the way we listen. Everybody can't understand it. The thing is who markets the best, who gets their thing in front of it. It's like Steve Jobs wasn't the genius. Wozniak was the genius. Woz is the one who figured out everything. Steve Jobs is the one who promoted it. Apple wouldn't be without the promotion. That's the point. So it's like me trying to argue for the people that I know are the best. And I'm like, yo, let me promote you more than what you promote. Because I know what it feels like. It's like, yo, I'm begging for attention and grown men don't do that. That's how we was raised. Grown men don't beg for attention.
This is an old clip. I remember this.
I hadn't seen this one before.
I mean, not the clip, but I remember this back and forth they had. A couple years ago. Yeah.
What do y'all think about that from like the mindset standpoint?
Well, no,
because what stood out to me was the part about the marketing when people don't necessarily want to, I guess, get assistance or get help with the marketing, and he's screaming out, "Let me help you," because that's what the whack, quote unquote, people are doing.
I don't think it's so much that is like, it just goes back to what I've said not on and offline about, there are people who, there are people who want to be rich and want to be famous. The people who want to be famous, they'll get out there, they'll jump on tables, they'll, do things that are possibly illegal. They'll do skits for you to pay attention to their music. Yeah. They'll go to jail. They'll do whatever it is for you to pay attention to them. A lot of times it's the antics that wind up amplifying the people who wind up being popular. When Sexy Red shows up to a school smelling like weed, and that makes the shade room, and we all talk about it, not so much us, but like it makes all those websites, then it keeps her name out there ringing. And then, then it'll be like, oh, let's play this record. If you're just a guy who has bars and you're really, you think you're that guy, like you said, you think that my talent should be able to carry me as much as these people's antics. And in a social media era, that's just not how it works. Like right now we're in a situation where like you got to do something that gets attention. And sometimes it's something like the only barrier to becoming famous in the United States of America now is a sense of dignity. Because like it's hard to be dignified and get on television in the initial stages. If you're just trying to get it real quick without really having to build your brand and have people, who are behind you and believe in your talent. Like if you have a lack of dignity, like you could get on a lot faster. You can get on you could be on a reality show, like, and get famous. Like I said, you could be one, on The Flavor of Love or whatever. I mean, I know it's an old reference at this point, but think about it. All those women who are on that show were famous at a certain point. It didn't last, but to be famous, and sometimes they parlayed it into another reality show and maybe be able to do club walkthroughs and anything. And all you did was, make yourself look stupid and embarrass your family on television, but you're famous now.
But where does that mindset come from?
Not wanting to just believe in your talent?
I guess believing in your talent is one thing. Feeling entitled is something different.
Where's the entitled? What do you mean by entitled?
When I say entitled, I mean the way I took it is somebody's supposed to know that I'm dope.
It's an old mindset because it used to be if you were exceptional at something, you could get attention. Right. If you're an exceptional rapper, if you're an exceptional singer, you being exceptional at something is something that could garner you the attention.
He usually took care of himself. Yeah.
There's so many avenues. There's so much there's 20, 30 rap records released every week, that are just show up in your phone. You being talented doesn't cut through all the extra noise.
Yeah, I can answer this.
Go ahead, Lon.
It's meritocracy. It's the American dream. It's what we're sold. To Jay's point, taking a step further, we're sold from a young age. All you have to do is be good at something.
Yep.
If you're good at something and you do it long enough, then you're going to. Now, granted, there's always the other caveat if you work hard enough, right? But but it's we are sold from a very young age. You know, if you're really good at something, then that's what you should pursue, and that's you're going to eventually
you'll make it. You'll
reap
quote
some
unquote
sort of
make it.
success from it, and that's just not the case. And I think that's that level of indoctrination to a degree on an entire generation. I think it's our generation.
Yep.
You know, of it's just what it is, you know, and we think I see it in a lot of my colleagues and peers, if you will, in a way that are super talented, but they don't put enough work in ways that just like this, you know, this back and forth with Royce and Guru were talking about. It's just like, you know, I'm talented. Why do I have to pay attention to marketing? You know,
Right.
and I get it. I saw a TikTok video today on it the same way. It was a musician talking about somebody on their label was talking to him. They're like, and she's like, "Is this where we're at as musicians?" And I was talking to this person. They were like, "Well, you need to do these Instagram reel posts today. You need to do this TikTok. You need to come up with some shorts. You need to do this." None of it has anything to do with music. It all has to do with marketing and all that other stuff. And I think just the reality of where we are is if you're going to pursue this on a high level, you have to be able to do all of these things. And no matter how many times we say this on this show and these type of conversations pop up, I still think sometimes there's still this lingering feeling that a lot of talented artists have that I don't have to do it. Like I don't have to put the work in on that marketing aspect because my talent will shine through. And that is just not the case. So
Yeah, I think the problem has a lot to do with arrogance too. There's a lot of people that are just naturally arrogant. So once they learn how to do something okay, they heighten it and they keep heightening it, and
That's true as
they
well.
get people to believe in what they're saying by telling them, "I'm so good, I'm this, I'm that." And on the other hand, the person that's better than them is just chilling in the cut like, okay, whatever.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they don't really care like that. And it also comes down to the social construct of these people. Because if you think about a lot of very talented people are kind of loners, so to speak.
That's another piece
You know
of
what I'm
it.
saying? You don't want to be bothered.
Yep.
You just kind of want to be in your mood and
Do your thing.
Do your thing. But once you do it, it's kind of like you might let your peers hear it. And your peers, "Oh man, this is dope. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this." And it's like, but I don't want to do all of that. I just want to kind of just do this.
Yeah.
And it the other person that's nowhere near as good wants to be seen. So they're going to do all of that and put out a mediocre product versus what you have, but you haven't done all the work.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes to this Drake and Kendrick thing too, because, and not to say that Drake is putting out mediocre work. He's a really dope artist, but he's in your face every day. He's very popular. He's a pop artist. Kendrick is not. A lot of people were saying that Kendrick owes Drake money for his popularity right now. Drake put you on. No, that's not the case. This is just the artist that you know. You know Drake because he's all over the place. You don't know Kendrick like that because Kendrick stays to himself. He drops his music, he disappears.
Yeah.
So
Go look at his tours. Go look at the specials.
if we're
They're-
talking about
they're
a
sold
tour, we're talking about tours and shows. Kendrick's by far is better than
Yeah.
Drake's.
I mean, Kendrick, he's kind of like the Daniel Day-Lewis of hip hop. Like he only pops out when it's time to do a real prestige project. And then like he won't even go to the award show to get his awards. You know, like he does it for the art.
He'll go perform.
Yeah, but other than that, like you're not going to see Kendrick do 20 reels a day.
And I think that's again that goes into it. Like we're in a society where you are benefited from being active. These algorithms and the way content works, you're benefited for just populating content on these platforms, and you get more eyes the more that you populate on these platforms. It doesn't benefit you if you put out one really good thing a month. You're not going to get the same type of benefit as if you put out 30 mediocre things a month. It's just the way that it is. It's content. And that goes counter to, the
artist,
the artistic integrity, if you will, of everything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like the way that it's all set up, it's not set up for artists to win. It's set up for these companies to essentially capitalize off of his free labor. Essentially is what it is.
It is.
I mean, it's from all that stuff. And
It's
if you
almost
really
like-
want to break it down,
Yeah, especially nowadays. I mean, the artists are their own AR. They're their own promotion company.
Yeah.
They're doing all of it, and the big money people are looking at that like, well, we don't really got to do much, but kind of push it a little more than what they're doing. And
I saw a video yesterday from an artist that was shopping with a major label, and the label, he literally recorded them, and it was like, they essentially told me, he was like, well, we like your music, we like the way your shows are, we like everything you're doing, but we don't sign deals to anybody who has less than 50,000 Instagram followers.
Yeah, man.
And it's just like that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
It's like it's all, I know, I always say capitalism, but it's what it is. It's like, it's crazy that a conversation like this comes all the way back to something like that. But
I think Sound wrote he had a couple of good comments on his post where he said, PSA, mediocre people who work loudly outperform great people who work quietly.
Yep.
He says, from artists, make sure I got mine.
That's true. From artists to singers to producers. Yep. We know who's great, but to the masses, everything is because there's too much noise out there.
Yeah.
And is this ruining music?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a valid question.
Yeah.
So. And I can honestly say I've been that person, because Terry described me to a T at this age. I just like to make dope music, man. And I know what comes with it because I'm surrounded by people like Lone have it down to a T in terms of what goes with the other side as he makes dope music. So I learn well, you have a very good grasp on it.
I understand it, but I fall into the same category as you. I don't promote any of my stuff.
Right.
I mean, I do a little bit, but then I'm on to the next thing. So I know I fall into the same category. I just understand where I'm failing.
I can openly say, yes, I fall into that all the time. It's like, yeah, this is dope. Put it out there and okay.
I feel like with what we're talking about, I can help people like me and push. I can push you a lot better than I can push myself.
Yourself, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know I failed it. I'm failing at this. So you don't do what I do. Yeah.
It's almost like I had to come to my friend and be like, all right, man, can you map out a month and just tell me what I have to do for 3 days out of each week? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where it is now.
But the thing is, and I've had this conversation with students of mine where I've helped plan out releases and stuff with them, and it's so much work that even me suggesting it just feels like
it could be overbearing.
It's super overbearing. It's like shouts to the 𝐀𝐿𝐴, man. We were talking about putting out a record. I was like, all right, cool. So here's what we're gonna do. I want you to, before we release the record, I want you to have come up with 3 ideas to drop 3 shorts a day for an entire month leading up to that, for 2 months afterwards.
Oh, okay. 3 shorts a day.
Yes,
a lot of work.
But if you don't do that, how are you supposed to compete with everything else that's going out there? You know what I mean? And that's just one piece of it. And that's aside from making the music. But that's the breaks of being an artist right now. If you don't have a ton of money to compete with the people that only want to be famous, that only want to do that. You know what I mean? So
with the subpar product.
Yeah.
Or just not evolved product. It's like, it's a lot of people understand that they don't have to have the perfect product to start marketing it.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And then the people they're really intricate, they really care about the details, really want their product to be what it is when they put it out. They're going to focus more on that as opposed to somebody who's just like, that understands the world that we live in to a T. That's like, no, actually, you don't have to be there quite yet. Just
there's a lot of fake it till you make it experts out here.
It's a lot of it, and
their product actually sometimes never improves.
Yeah,
they're just really good at keeping your interest. So you know what I'm saying, so to speak.
And I think
this is even beyond music. Even this is just some people are just really good at being bullshitters.
And I think, to your point, I think
it's rewarded.
It is rewarded. It's highly rewarded. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a section of people that when you talk about, you mentioned underdeveloped, like the music is not fully developed or whatever. I actually think there's a group of people that know that their music is underdeveloped and they're okay with that.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it's just enough. It's the bare minimum. I know just enough of what I got to do so I can be lit.
Yeah,
and that right there is what can mess up. Well, you can say mess up, or
that's where you mess up art and commerce. It's where
it's like
it can be discouraging to someone who sees their talent as being more proficient in that person. I'm not closer to the brass ring, if you will.
Yeah, I'm not programmed to go into something and say I'm going to half-ass it just so I can be popular. I'm not programmed that way. I don't understand. I don't think most people know what that is.
Even the people we feel like are half-assed, I don't think they're programmed. Like, they're doing the best they can, and they're just willing to do extra things to make them, for lack of a better term, lit.
Yeah, and I think some people just are more okay putting themselves out there as mediocre than other people's are. I feel like some people just legitimately. I mean, Terry mentioned like ego and and stuff like that, but I feel like some people either have really a false sense of where they are, or they just really don't care. Like they're not as attached to their art as some people are. And like some of us, when we put music out, like it has to be a full representation of us. Like it has to be who we are. And other people are just like, it's just a song I made.